So what becomes of ham radio, and in particular the digital modes of ham radio, once the internet really does go down? We're diving deep, deep down into that rabbit hole today on K6UDA Radio. So because we've been in a low solar cycle, and I've really gotten to like all these digital modes. They let me play on the radio when propagation is down, and I get to make contacts with a lot of you guys all over the world. That is a lot of fun. And yes, lately I've been talking about radios and radio technology that utilizes the internet to reach out further than RF alone can do unless you have HF capabilities. So in the past month or so, since I released the 5 Things Ruining Ham Radio video, which is, by the way, satire, and it is supposed to be funny. And it is. A lot of you guys have left comments and emails and everything. And the big recurring theme when it came to digital radio and DMR, D-Star, fusion type of stuff is, well, what happens when the internet goes down? So, you know what? We're going to really dive in. And to do that, we have to jump down a rabbit hole that I really didn't want to jump down into, because if this happened, this would be a fuck story. Guys, I am not talking about the great Facebook outage of 2019 or soy boys jumping off the roofs of local Starbucks, Instagram models having to revert to stripping in clubs. No, I'm talking about a real, honest to goodness, the internet disappears tomorrow. You see, if Al Gore had never invented the internet, or it had become unreliable and went down, say in 1992, it would have barely been a blip on the radar and nobody would have thought anything about it. But it is now 2019, and almost everything that our society is built on is tied to or based in the internet. So let's just imagine the internet stops tomorrow. The whole thing is kaput, done, over. 30 Charlie, TAC 310, and America Link, they disappear along with the internet as if they never existed in the first place. The radios still work in those modes, and so using them in a simplex mode, that would still work. And I'll get back to that in a few minutes. The internet literally affects and touches almost every aspect of our society. And when that goes down, so does almost everything else that's connected to it, including all of the things that make us a civilization. Grocery stores. Grocery stores have 3 days worth of food on the shelves, and no way now without the internet to order more supplies. That is until they figure out a new model of distribution and ordering. How much food do you have in the refrigerator right now? The trucking industry. The trucking industry, they rely heavily on the internet for securing loads, for dispatching, for doing a lot of the logistical stuff that's on the back end of trucking. So within a few days, the trucking industry is going to come to a screeching halt. The financial world would be in ruins. All of our stocks and bonds are traded on the internet. All the commodities are traded on the internet. And our banking institutions rely heavily on the internet for everything. I seriously doubt when the internet quits tomorrow, you'll be able to go to the ATM and pull out any money. I just don't think that's going to happen. I got a feeling the banks are going to take what they call a banking holiday. All of your medical information, all your medical records and everything, they're stored in the cloud somewhere. So when you go to the doctor or the hospital, they pull that up and magically fix you. Well, when all those records disappear along with the internet, so goes your medical history. I think this great internet outage is going to even affect cell phones and even hardline telephones. Cable TV, satellite TV, all that stuff. I think those guys, they're gonna have all kinds of issues. And so news and information isn't gonna be traveling very freely along with communications from you and your family. So, where does ham radio fit into this whole equation? Well, because everything is going to devolve into pretty much lawlessness for a little while, and there's going to be very limited services if this thing happens and this big cascading effect goes into whatever. The communities are going to get a lot smaller. I mean, a lot smaller. Everything is going to get very tribal. First tribe's going to be your family, then your neighborhood. And the people that stick together and band together are going to be the ones that are going to have the best chance of survival. Now, because everything is quickly getting to the point where it's very tribal, it's very competitive, there are going to be different groups competing for the same finite resources. There's only going to be so much food, there's only going to be so much fuel, bullets, and secure locations to live and operate from. People still want to have news and information, and they are going to need to communicate. The good guys are going to need to communicate. The bad guys are going to need to communicate. My thinking is most of the bad guys are going to grab whatever communication devices are quick and easy, which is going to be a lot of CBs, FRS radios, the Bofangs that are floating around out there. Us hams, on the other hand, we have the knowledge to fix things, to build things. We've got a pretty good grasp on things like propagation. We understand when to use certain bands, when not to use them, how far 2 meters is going to get you, how far 440 is going to get you in any given situation. What are the limitations? What are the advantages? I mentioned before that all the digital radios, the DMR, Fusion, and D-Star radios, yeah, you're not going to be using them on the internet anymore. But now those radios become what the military likes to refer to as encrypted radios. See, these radios are going to be good for point-to-point, short-range communications on low power. That is going to become the king of tactical radio. The enemy can't understand us because they're using Bofangs and whatever's out there. We can hear them and we can listen in on them because intel is as important as the comms between us. Everybody in this post shit hits the fan world is going to have to be valuable to a group. You have to add value. You can't just say, oh, I'm old, I'm infirmed, I'm whatever, I'm pretty. That isn't going to get it. You're going to have some kind of a skill that benefits the group. Whether that skill is farming, hunting, being a soldier, fixing things, or in our case, being the communication experts. That is a very important skill to be able to bring the news and information into your group, to be able to set up and maintain tactical communications within your group is going to be huge. CW is going to become either the mode of choice on analog radio or a very important choice to master. And yes, I am trying to not master it, but get the hang of CW. CW is going to become a very powerful tool in this post shit hits the fan world. You see, the bands for a while are going to be filled with people getting on there looking for the same news and information that you're looking for. The propagation may be poor. There may be a ton of noise in the area. There may be a whole bunch of things that are happening that keep the bands from being useful on things like single sideband. But CW will cut through a whole ton of that. And it also offers a layer of encryption that most of the population doesn't have. The nets of tomorrow are going to be filled with useful information about conditions in different areas. There'll be useful information about trading goods and services, of how to maintain and fix items, where to go for resources, really useful stuff. And we will be the conduits of that information. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, this goes down the rabbit hole so far, it would make your head spin if you haven't already kind of gone down this rabbit hole. And I'm not going to go into a whole lot of it. I know a lot of you guys are going to come at me and you're going to go, oh, that's a bunch of bullshit. Well, if you're the same guys that were saying, well, what happens when the internet goes down, then you're full of shit. Because this could happen. If you really start thinking about it, our infrastructure is so fragile and our society is so geared for anything to happen. I mean, that's all I'm going into today. If you like this video, please give it the thumbs up. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And you know what? Until shit hits the fan, I'm Bob, K6UDA, and I'm out of here.